Thank you. It's really an honor to be here as always. And I'd like to start off just by offering gratitude to you, Mark, and to IJS for holding this space for us. Thank you. And today I want to begin with some words of poetry from Danusha Lamaris. So just find a comfortable place, a place of reception for the moment. This is called Small Kindnesses. I've been thinking about the way when you walk down a crowded aisle, people pull in their legs to let you by. Or how strangers still say bless you when someone sneezes, a leftover from the bubonic plague. Don't die, we are saying. And sometimes when you spill lemons from your grocery bag, someone else will help you pick them up. Mostly, we don't want to harm each other. We want to be handed our cup of coffee hot and to say thank you to the person handing it, to smile at them and for them to smile back. For the waitress to call us honey when she sets down the bowl of clam chowder, and for the driver in the red pickup truck to let us pass. We have so little of each other now, so far from tribe and fire. Only these brief moments of exchange. What if they are the true dwelling of the holy? These fleeting temples we make together when we say, "Here, have my seat. Go ahead, you first. I like your hat." So as we start to get ready to sit today, I'd like to invite you to think about blessing and to think about curse, because we are heading into Parshat Re'eh. And this is the portion where we're offered as a people by God the choice in our own lives of blessing and curse. But even more than that, I'd like to move us back a step to the very first word of today's Parsha, which is Re'eh, which is look or see, investigate. Take a moment to really see what's before you. And it can be sometimes very easy to distinguish with clarity what course may offer us blessing and what course may offer us curse in our own lives. And then, of course, there are times when it's not simple to distinguish for ourselves what course of action might offer either one of those things. And so that's where this word re'eh, I think, comes in as really important. And it's given to us in the language of a command. So it's telling us exactly what we need to do in our lives to see clearly, which, boy, would that be a blessing if it were offered to us at all times. And I think this is what our practice actually does have to offer to us. It's not that necessarily in the sitting we have moments of great enlightenment being offered to us as a gift every single time we sit down. But what is offered to us is this practice that as we engage in stripping away as we do in our sitting. That hopefully when we are encountered with moments where we are called upon to use discernment, that those muscles are in better tone because we have been honing them skillfully through our own practice. So today, what I'm going to invite us to do is quite simple. It's just to discern, just to be with whatever happens to be present for you. So that's the simple part. And of course, the difficult part is to stay present and to keep the discernment with what is here in this moment. And so our task today, as we sit, is to just notice. Notice any time that our mind wanders into the future, perhaps doing some planning, or into the past, reliving a moment and maybe judging. Anytime we leave this present moment, this present embodiment of where we are right now, very simply notice and come back to whatever grounds you. Perhaps it's the tone of feeling in the body, perhaps it's noticing emotions, or perhaps it's the breath, but just staying as present as we can in our sitting place. So I'll invite you now to find a way of sitting upright and comfortably. Noticing the skeletal structure of your body and how it's the basis and foundation of your sitting form. Drawing clarity about just the shape of your physical being in this moment, starting from the inside out. So noticing that skeletal structure, paying attention to how it shapes our form, and moving outward, being aware of the tendons and ligaments and muscles that are layered upon the skeletal structure. The organs and circulatory system. The breath moving through the body. And finally, the outer layer of the physical self, the skin, this permeable layer that creates a border between the physical self and the rest of the world. And noticing especially where the body meets the sitting place, whether it be the cushion, the floor, or the chair. And with a few foundational places, that sitting place, the inner strength of the skeletal structure, and the moving breath through the body, I invite you just to take a few moments of today to be present with whatever is for you. And as the mind wanders, taking that opportunity to notice that the mind has gone elsewhere, and inviting yourself back into this present moment to be with what is, with clarity. We're going to sit in silence for about 7 minutes, and I'll break that silence and bring us out of that silence with a song of blessing. If the mind has wandered, just coming back to the sitting place, the breath, the skeletal structure, providing foundation, allowing for clarity. And just take a moment to check in and see what's going on with that parasympathetic nervous system, the relationship between the emotions and what's happening physically in the body. If you need to invite a little more spaciousness, allowing for clarity there, just take a few breaths, allowing for that. May God bless you with all good. May God keep all evil from you. And may God fill your heart with wisdom. Grace you with all truth. May God lift up God's merciful face and shine on you for all time. And may God grant you eternal peace. Praying for blessing and clarity for all of us. And with blessing, turning this moment over to Mark. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kerith. As always, such a gift. Friends, we seal the practice as we do every day. An opportunity for those of you who are in mourning or observing a yard site to recite the Mourner's Kaddish. Or if it's just you're accustomed to participate, you're welcome. If you're not reciting Kaddish, we ask you to please stay present. For those who are, you can just stay with that stance of compassion, support, kindness. They connect with each other. Thanks to Rachel for sharing the words of the Kaddish on the screen. If you're joining me, you can put the name or names of anyone you're honoring today in the chat now or afterwards. And you can please join me by rising in body or in spirit. And you can unmute your device at this time. Yitkadal, Yitkadash, Shemei Rabbah. Yalma, Divrach, Hirute, Yamlich, Malchute. Uchamlichon, Uchayet, Beit Israel, Ba'agala, Vizman, Kari, Vimru, Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabbah Barach, Olam V'amei Amaya. Yitbarach, Yishtabach, Yitpa'ar, Yitramam, Yitnaseh, Yitar, Yitaleh, Yithalal, Shmei Kusha, Ba'elam, Yishol Birchata, B'shurata, Tush B'chalta, B'nechamata, Da'amiram, Ba'alma, Yimru, Amen. Yehi Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya. Chaim Aleinu V'Yavot Yisrael, Yimru, Amen. Oseh Shalom B'Mamav, Hu Yaseh Shalom, Aleinu V'Hu Yisrael, Kol Yoshei Tevel, Yimru, Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Friends, thanks for joining us so much today. If you're leaving us now, we hope you'll be back with us tomorrow for practice. I want to thank Rachel Hugot for holding our space and Cantor, Kerith, Spencer-Shapiro for leading us today. And as always, you're welcome just to continue to stay right where you are, to sit and breathe together. Use this time just to savor your practice, to be with your practice. Or if you'd like, you can join us for conversation and share a question or just your reflection in the chat about your experience with today's teaching and practice. And you can put a question, you can put both in the chat. If it's a question you'd like to ask, please preface it by writing question all in caps. And I will keep an eye out for that. As always, Kerith, thank you so much. Lots of appreciation in the chat, as always. Also, Rachel, if you have Kerith's website handy, if you can put that in the chat. Yeah, the Small Kindnesses poem. We can also put that in the chat too. We have that handy. I have that. It's Danusha Lamaris. Hopefully, I'm pronouncing her name correctly. And I think we put another website, but that's a link right directly to. Yeah, thanks, Rachel. The other link is a link to her website, which includes that poem as well as others. Really fantastic, fantastic poet and teacher of poetry, by the way, mindfulness poetry. Kerith, I just want to thank you. It was, the poem was just such a beautiful way to engage us, help us kind of enter, like go into the water. Just felt like, oh, the water's warm. Uh, like you put your feet in and say, is this okay? And you walk and say, oh, it's so warm, it's so pleasant, it's so nice. And it made me think and appreciate how small kindness opens the gates in some way.
Mm,
I want to invite you to, if you want to say anything about that, like, beginning with that, or like what that means, what that poem, how
yeah.
that poem speaks to you.
I think for me, that there's such a strong link between clarity, between spaciousness, clarity, and blessing. And then on the other side of that coin, that there's also a link between tightness and confusion and what we might call curse, right? And so what I thought about this poem is, and why I brought it to us this morning is that when we either engage in giving or receiving one of these small kindnesses, it's such a simple act, yet it offers us heart spaciousness, and then we are more open to receiving clarity in our lives, or finding clarity because we have spaciousness. And when we engage in that, the tightness of either allowing really negative, harmful language to come out of our own mouths, or when we're on the receiving end of that kind of language, that we actually physically feel that tightness happening in our bodies. Our consciousness becomes more closed,
Mm-hmm.
protectively, instinctively.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing bad, not to say that's a
Right.
bad thing.
Right.
It's part of what we do as humans, but it cuts us off from the spaciousness that allows for clarity. So then that's what the practice can do for us when we're not in a space of either being able to give or receive these small kindnesses, The
Mm-hmm.
practice allows us to do that for ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we sit, we're offering a small kindness to ourselves that can allow for spaciousness, leading to clarity, and God willing, leading to blessing that feels deeply rooted within ourselves and emanates outward toward others.
That's beautiful. I'm just thinking about, how a lot of this practice is about, the mindfulness practice in general is about noticing and responding wisely to our reptilian brain, right, which is programmed to look for, just thinking about the pickup truck letting you, you know,
Yeah.
like, well, how often does that happen? Uh, and you're in LA, so
Uh-huh.
you're really the expert in this. But um, it's
Oh,
interesting to think about, like, when people let you go, let you change lane,
yes.
make space, slow down to let you in, and when we do that for others, um, the impact that that has, right?
Yeah.
To make space for another, because I don't know about others, speak for myself. I think that our default setting is to not expect that to happen, or, to be on guard against it not happening. And when it does happen, you breathe and it changes things so powerfully. And I really appreciate that you just said, that we can start with ourselves, that the practice, I'm going to do myself the small kindness today of just taking time and sitting here for a few minutes.
Mhm.
And Dayenu, that's right. That's enough. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
What about, so the parsha re'eh, just like, maybe you can say a little bit about that, like, the Hebrew word re'eh, which means see, look. How does that play in here? How would tie that in?
So for me, it really gets to this idea of it's not just like look with your eyes. Um, a prophet is called a ro'eh, right? Like so, there's this connection also between it's one of the words for prophet, also of course navi, but this idea between um, really seeing what's in front of you um, can provide insightful and deep clarity about what's before you.
Hmm.
And in the context of our portion, what's before us is choosing blessing or curse.
Hmm.
And, I don't go about my day generally thinking, oh, am I choosing blessing or curse in this moment? On the one hand. And then on the other hand, um, I think all of us who are here for a reason, that we're interested in mindfulness. And that is so much about what this is about. Like,
Hmm.
before I take that step of doing, am I being fully present with what's in front of me? Am I seeing it with clarity? And am I entering whatever that is in a way that is wholesome and good for me and
Hmm.
for others?
Hmm. Hmm. So much, yeah, that's beautiful. And there's a lot of beautiful stuff in the chat. I want to lift up, Nancy, what you wrote. My anchor for the first time emerged as awareness of this dear community in front of us, all the souls connected here miraculously together, the multiplicity within the unity. Thank you so much, Nancy, for that. It's really so beautiful. And Ricky's asking, are we creating a new midrash, making ourselves into the source mountains of blessing or curse?
Mm.
The ripple is so real. Kindness astonishes. Thank you so much, Ricky, for that.
Yeah, thank you.
Um, mm,
I saw a question earlier that I
oh,
just want to,
go ahead. I missed it.
yeah, no, it's okay. I think there was a question about maintaining focus when you're worried. And
Mhm.
I want to lift that up because, and it was Laura who asked this question.
Mhm.
And I just want to say, Laura, I sat today with the majority of my time not being focused. Okay, and I'm
What?
here as a teacher.
That's not possible.
So, now, there
Don't
are
tell
days when
them that.
I'm telling them the secrets, all the secrets. That's what the people who stay on after get. So, some days are going to be easier than others, and I think the big answer is just to be gentle with yourself. And there was a turning point for me in my practice when I realized very joyfully that the more I stayed unfocused, the more opportunities there were to remind myself to come back to presence. And so it was this huge turning point for me because instead of beating myself up about not being present, I became very joyful about every moment that I noticed,
Mm,
and and kind of gave myself a little pat on the back. Oh, Kerith, you noticed. And so just that, just the noticing, it's enough. It's enough. And if you're noticing, it is really, really painful and difficult for me to stay focused today because I have some hard things going on in my life. That's enough.
yeah. Maybe some, Gareth, would you say something about when when we notice that we're not feeling that kindness or not, like,
Yeah. I think we all have the critical critical voice. Um, I don't know. I can only speak from my own
hmm
experience, so I don't know what works
hmm
for other people.
hmm
I am a person who finds it very easy to be kind to others and maybe not so easy to be kind to myself. And so for me, invoking the voices of benefactors and um, remembering kindnesses, things that have been said to me that um, come from people who I trust, is a way of I take those words and I try to internalize them to kind of counterbalance the inner critic. So that's the way that I handle it. What about
Yeah.
you, Mark? What kind of practice
Yeah,
do you
very
have?
similar. I think uh well, there's two parts. One is I think noticing the inner critic, that's waiting to pounce. And the danger for me, one of the dangers is in doubling down on that by having a judgment about like, why haven't I gotten over that? Or, I should be more enlightened. I shouldn't have that.
Yeah,
And if I can nip that in the bud to say like, like what you said, like this is human. It's part of being human.
yeah,
Those thoughts, the inner critic, we are equipped with that inner critic and it can overfunction. It serves a function, it can overfunction. Um, and ultimately, I think the magic of the practice it's like a jujitsu move with that
mm,
inner critic. Say, oh, thanks for being here. Thanks for being here, prosecutor. You activated my public defender now, and
yes,
to like argue for acquittal here and some compassion. Um, doesn't most of the time that doesn't happen, but I think little by little we whittle away at that. Um, Kerith, I wanted to invite you if you would. I'm going to put a link. People asked. Here's a link to Perry Smilos singing that version. But it's always really nice to end with an opportunity to to hear you um, shower us a little bit with that, Kerith. So if you're okay offering us the blessing, that'd be great.
May God bless you with all good. May God keep all evil from you. And may God fill your heart with wisdom, grace you with all truth. May God lift up God's merciful face and shine on you for all time. And may God grant you eternal peace. Can you hear that sound?
Can you hear it, some? May it be God's will. Thank you so much, Kerith. As always, what a gift. And thanks, Rachel, for holding us together today, and thanks to each of you for being here, for your support, for your dedication. Hope to see you tomorrow to practice with Larry Yermak. Thursday with David Gottlieb will be joining us from Chicago, and Zach Newman will lead us to sit into Shabbat on Friday, joining us from the UK. So be well, everyone. Many blessings.